So we are going to make some lamb today because Easter is around the corner. I'm going to show you how to get the most out of the lamb shanks to get them super tender, super succulent and falling off the bone. We're going to inject some Indian style spicing into this. More on that later in the video. I'll talk to you about what region we are going to make this dish from. So stay tuned for this very, very simple weeknight dinner that you can do to add a little bit of spice in your life. All right, let's get into it. So we're going to start with a couple of lamb shanks. Your butcher can help you out here. These are absolutely gorgeous and massive. About 1.77 pounds to be precise. Season them with a bit of salt and pepper on both sides and then just set that aside. Now we're going to finely slice 2 small onions. Get your nice little hand action going like this. You will not cut yourself once you get a bit of practice. Oh yeah, chop, chop, chop. Let's go, chef. Okay, now set that aside and I'll run you through the spices for this dish. 1 tablespoon or 5 grams of ground coriander, 1 teaspoon or 3 grams of ground cumin, half a teaspoon or 1 gram of red chili powder, put a bit more in if you want a bit more of a kick, and then half a teaspoon or 1 gram of ground turmeric. And then you're going to need 2 green cardamom pods and 2 cloves and 2 sticks of cinnamon. We're also going to crack these cardamom pods as well just to release those seeds. Pretty easy, just use the back of a knife. And I'll show you the other stuff we'll need later. Oh, and we're also going to need 2 tomatoes, ripe ones preferably. Right, now what you want to do is core the tomatoes. Use a smaller knife if you haven't got the knife skills. Slice them in half, give them a nice sort of slice lengthwise and then chop them up. Run your knife through them and we're going to dice these and set these aside. These tomatoes are going to be the base of our masala, so they're going to give it some real body. Okay, now get a frying pan on and we're going to just heat that up, put a bit of oil in, about a spoon or so, swirl that round, and then we're going to sear our lamb shanks. We're not going for a mega sear, if that is such a thing. We're just going to do a nice little sear, have a little bit of color on it just to go all the way round. Once you've done it, it's a little bit fiddly obviously because it's all uneven shapes, but do the best you can with it. Work your way through it and then set that aside and repeat it with the other one. Okay, next, get yourself a deep pan that can fit your lamb shanks in. I've used a Dutch oven here. Add about 2-3 tablespoons of oil, then put in the cinnamon, put in the cardamom and the cloves, saute for 30 seconds, then add your onions and brown them until they get to this stage. It's going to take you about 15 minutes roughly on a low to medium heat. Just keep an eye on it, don't burn it, and then put a heaped tablespoon of ginger and garlic paste. Recipe for those on the website. Okay, now give that a good mix through. The moisture from that's going to help deglaze the bottom of this pan a little bit. And then we're going to add in our spices after about 4 minutes of cooking. So to recap, that's going to be our ground cumin. We're going to put our turmeric, our ground coriander, chili powder, and we're also going to add in a heaped tablespoon of kasuri methi fenugreek leaf, about 5 grams. Give that all a mix through for about a minute. You don't want to burn the spices here. Just keep your flame on low and then bang in those tomatoes, mix that around, cook that for about 5 minutes, and then we're going to go in with 50 grams of plain good old-fashioned yogurt. Mix that through, cook that for another 5 minutes, and you're going to see the oils breaking slightly like this. Then put your lamb back into the pot and add just enough water to cover it. We're going to bring this up to the boil and then we're going to cover it and we're going to simmer it for about 2 to 3 hours on the stove until it is nice and tender. Once that's done, turn it off, let it sit for about 10 minutes, then take the lid off and then we're going to just check the lamb. You should see how nice and tender it is. It's just all jiggling, ready to fall apart just like that. Okay, pull that out, set this aside. Now at this stage, you can just reduce this and be done, but I like to drain it off through a sieve. That way I can just fish out things like the cinnamon and those cloves and everything else, and then put all that masala back into it. Then I'm going to put this into a Vitamix and blend this up. This is a complete optional step, but I like to do it because you get a nice smooth sauce this way. Now drink that in your morning smoothie. Plenty wake up. Now we're going to reduce this by about 50-60%. Get it on the stove. Clean the pan from time to time, obviously, like this, old habits. Once you get it nice and reduced, look at that, looks glorious. Give this a taste and we're going to add our salt at this stage. Be generous, give it a nice seasoning. I wish you could smell how good this is smelling right now. Oh my lord. Okay, now we're going to put our lamb shanks back in and then we're going to start basting it with that lovely sauce. And then we're going to put a lid on it and just let it simmer for about 10 to 12 minutes just to heat everything through and make it extra luxurious, just like this. This type of Indian dish is more kind of like from the south central part of India, like Hyderabad. Very fragrant. So we're going to chop up a nice handful of coriander, sprinkle over some nice garam masala, recipe for that on the website, about a tablespoon there. Put over your coriander and you have a beautiful, beautiful lamb dish to lift your spirits. Now, just serve that with some nice fluffy basmati rice.
put on your lamb shank and then just adorn it with that beautiful sauce, a little bit more of that coriander and a nice sprinkling of garam masala. And there you have a beautiful lamb shank from the Hyderabad area of India. Absolutely delicious. A smash.
So look at that absolute monster lamb shank there. Holy crap. That is tender as you like. That is going to be a very nice weeknight dinner. Okay, let's get stuck into this, eh? So you can see just like how tender this is. I mean, just look at that. That's just flaking apart. I mean, that is just so tender. I mean, effortlessly coming apart. Look at that. Get a bit of that, bit of your sauce. Ooh. Cheers, everyone. That is such a nice comfort dish. The spices work really well with each other. Get that real nice lamb curry flavor. But that's the good thing with the Hyderabad cuisine. It's a little bit different in the south of India than it is in the north. And stuff like this is just absolutely delicious. If you don't have lamb shank, you can use lamb pieces. You've got a lot of liquor there, so don't throw out any of that curry sauce. You can add potatoes, different things to it. So you can take it in lots of different directions. You can just see this lamb, like barely any resistance, and it just like falls apart. And that's been sat there a little while too. Just with some fluffy rice, super simple, a weeknight dinner. Have yourself a little cold one. Very nice indeed. And all of you that have been commenting so far, I appreciate all of your comments. Let me know what you would like to see in the next videos coming up. Right, time to enjoy this. I'll see you on the next one.